What's going on, Godzirra Nation? This is Arghgodzirra back with another AFL tips and predictions video. Thank you for joining me as always. Round 17 has just gone past us and we'll touch on that shamble of a round in a moment. Round 18 is the round we're looking forward to. But before we get started, if you have been enjoying my tips and predictions videos, be sure to hit that like button down below and be sure to subscribe if you're new, because I know some of you guys are watching this video and you're not subscribing, and I'd appreciate it if you did, because it helps me out in the long run. Looking back at round 17, I said it was a bit of a shambles. I wasn't joking. I tipped 2 correct tips. We started off with the incorrect tip of Port Adelaide defeating Melbourne. Melbourne won. We correctly tipped the demolition of Adelaide. We didn't, however, predict the demolition of Hawthorn. Geelong getting up over Carlton in a closer game than I anticipated. St Kilda rolling the Lions in a game that I thought I'd never see go down. Gold Coast clinching a win by a point. Sydney getting up over West Coast, and Collingwood defeating Richmond in a game that Richmond should never drop. So I'm contemplating doing a video on how Richmond's performance has been this year. If you want to see that, let me know in the comment section down below, because I've got a lot to fucking discuss if you guys want to see that video. And then North Melbourne defeating West Coast. I said to one of my mates who was a North Melbourne supporter, watch North Melbourne get up this weekend and upset West Coast, even though I tipped West Coast. Before the game even started, I turned to my brother and said, I am seriously considering changing my tip to North Melbourne. And I fucking should have. However, reflecting on the week that was, we can have a look now at who tipped the most correct amount of tips. And we don't have to go far because they're currently sitting second on the ladder. Chip 16, Liam H. correctly tipped 6 tips. 5 was the most from everybody else, but 6. One overall more than everyone else in a round that was as dissolute and mixed as it was. Dude, 6 out of 8. Congratulations. Vince still holding a 3-point lead, getting to 100, the first player to do so in the competition. Congratulations, Vince, on making that milestone. It's going to be very hard to catch him, but I think the teams on top can do it. I think. We'll see how it goes, but he's been able to hold that lead for a while now. Now we turn our attention to the week that is going to be, and I apologise for this video getting out so late. I've got some stuff going on in my life right now that is starting to take a little bit of control and more precedence over things like this. But tomorrow night we have Fremantle taking on Geelong at Optus Stadium. I'm going to be backing Geelong. I'm going to be backing them by 25 points. I think it's going to be closer than people perceive. Sean, what a voice crack. Sean Darcy at the moment is probably the in-form ruckman of the competition, so it's going to be very big to see the role he plays in this game. And if he can get on top of Geelong early, Fremantle could cause one of the upsets of the year here, but I think Geelong are going to be a little bit too strong. That's still without Joel Selwood, Mitch Duncan, Jeremy Cameron. But Joel Selwood could come back because he was only being managed. So, Geelong for me, however. Friday night at the MCG, Rumble in the Jungle. Why aren't you not going back up, you bastard? There we go. Rumble in the Jungle. We've got Richmond taking on Brisbane. And I was hoping, and I did say after the previous time we played Brisbane this year, that I was looking forward to both teams being full strength and taking each other on full strength. Since then, Richmond have lost more players off of their list. In saying that, we played some pretty inspiring football for 3 quarters last week, and then in the last quarter we just laid down and copped a hiding. Brisbane, on the other hand, they're coming off of a shock loss to St Kilda, which should have never happened. I don't want to tip with my heart here, because we know if I tip with my heart, I'm going with Richmond. I'm tipping with my head this week. I'm going with Brisbane. Plain and simple. If they do what they did to us the first time around, they're going to put us to the sword. I think missing players like Starcevic could miss with a concussion, possibly, which would be huge because he kept Dustin Martin pretty tame that last game we played. No Marcus Adams in defence. Harris Andrews is still carrying a bit of an injury. No Eric Hipwood. We could capitalise on their outs. However, Richmond, I think our outs outweigh Brisbane's, and I think Brisbane still have the advantage in that fact. So yeah, Brisbane, I think quite comfortably will get the job done against Richmond. I would love to see Richmond get up. I really want to see Richmond play finals this year. I haven't written them off at all, but the next 2 weeks are going to be incredibly tough for us. Mars Stadium on Saturday. Why do you... No. Look, stop fucking around. I'm trying to shoot a video. Thank you very much. We have GWS taking on Sydney at Mars Stadium. I'm backing in Sydney. Vastly superior in comparison to how GWS played last week. GWS should have never lost that game. I'm still scratching my head as to how Toby Green could have a shot from where he had his shot from and not put it through for at least a behind. I seriously have no idea whether he was just poking at the ball, trying to be a little bit too cute. But Sydney coming out and knocking off one of the premiership contenders. I think Sydney, and I made a comment about them after that game, I think Sydney could be the dark horse for the premiership this year. I think all eyes currently are on teams like Melbourne and the Bulldogs. Sydney could do a bit of damage. I really think they can. Then at Metricon Stadium, we have Gold Coast taking on the Bulldogs. I think it's all but a formality that the Bulldogs win this game, but I am expecting Gold Coast to be a lot more competitive, especially coming off of the last few games that they've played. They managed to topple GWS by a point. They managed to defeat Richmond, the reigning premier. So there's going to be a lot of positive energy going around that club right now. So whether they come into this game and do a big number is to be seen, but I think the Bulldogs are going to put a stop to that momentum. MCG, Saturday afternoon. Melbourne taking on Hawthorn. I think Melbourne get it done quite comfortably. Hawthorn I expected a lot more of last week against Fremantle, and they just laid down for the most part. Some of their youngsters really standing tall, and the future is bright at Hawthorn, don't get me wrong. But for the immediate future, I don't see them toppling Melbourne at all. I don't think any kind of strategy they threw at this game, I don't think they can beat Melbourne. That's just my call. Later on that night, rounding out Saturday, St Kilda taking on Port Adelaide. St Kilda did get the upset win over Brisbane, which makes me want to tip St Kilda here. But I think Port Adelaide's vices are going to be a little bit too strong for St Kilda to break down. Sunday, at Marvel, North Melbourne taking on Essendon. Now, all of a sudden, this game it doesn't become an absolute gimme for Essendon, because if North Melbourne can play the way they did against West Coast, especially in the final quarter against Essendon, they could win this game. I'm still going to back Essendon in, and I think it's going to be a hell of a lot closer than what people anticipate. But don't write North Melbourne off to win this one. I'll make that comment right now. Collingwood takes on Carlton at the MCG. Another game that could go 50-50. Great news to hear that Charlie Curnow is going to be coming back through the VFL this week. Huge news. Hasn't played football in over 2 years. And I feel is one of those players that is begging for a breakout season, especially when we've seen him do some things like the 5-goal haul he had against Richmond a few years ago. He really can turn the game on its head, and I'm looking forward to seeing him return. And I bet the Blue Baggers are very excited to hear that he's going to be coming back. Collingwood, however, since Robert Harvey has taken over, they've got like a freshness about how they've been playing. I'm going to back Collingwood. Could be to my detriment, but I think Collingwood are going to get it done. And the weekend rounds out with Adelaide taking on West Coast, and all of a sudden, backing Adelaide to beat West Coast here isn't too out of place, considering how West Coast have been playing. I am going to back West Coast to bounce back. Don't discredit Adelaide at all, though. So having a look at my tips for the round, we've gone with Geelong, Brisbane, Sydney. Scroll down a little bit, we've gone with the Bulldogs. We've gone with Melbourne. We've gone with Port Adelaide, Essendon, Collingwood, and the Eagles. And for those of you who are interested in just the numbers for the Gauntlet and Minimum 5, Gauntlet is down to 116. Minimum 5 is down to 94, because a lot of people would have been eliminated out of that last round. But that's it for this video. Thank you for joining me. As I said at the top of the video, if you have been liking this content, hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. Let me know your guarantee winner and your upset of the round. As I said, I feel the guaranteed winner here would have to be Melbourne over Hawthorn, or the Bulldogs over the Gold Coast. I think upset of the round would be definitely seeing Fremantle topple Geelong, or even Richmond topple Brisbane. The first two games, if the home teams can get up, I think those will be the upsets of the round. As I mentioned earlier as well, I'm looking at doing a video talking about Richmond's season, whether the dynasty's over, talking about our injuries, all that kind of stuff. Just giving a little bit of insight from myself. So if that is content you would like to see, let me know in the comment section down below as well. Hit me up on social media if you haven't already. Facebook, Twitter. I've got a new Discord server if you want to join. The fuck is Journ? If you want to join that, you can do so. The links are down there. But that's it from me, guys. I'm out of here. Good luck to your teams this weekend. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.